This is a movie review for Ivan the Incredible. Let me start by saying that this movie is bad. So bad. Worst movie I've ever seen. Freaking ridiculously bad and pretty low quality to it. And pretty low quality to it. And pretty low quality to it.
Fear.
Fear. The toilet is really out for some reason.
Fresh from the flushing.
Welcome
to the Fear podcast. It's been a while.
It's been
even longer since we did one that was just the two of us. We were originally, I had a guest that this episode was planned with, but the coordinating did not work out.
They're going to Britain.
He's going to Bangladesh for his master's degree. If you're watching this, I hope you enjoy. Yeah, shoot him, he didn't show up. Chat, crush his skull. So today we're going to talk about a frankly legendary movie in the lore of my YouTube channel, which I'm sure everyone cares about. Ivan the Incredible.
Which you probably saw a clip of his review of.
Yeah, I
at the start of this video.
The intro of this video is definitely me in that video picking my nose in the first 30 seconds and then cut to what's happening right now.
Yeah. Oh, no, you need to pick your nose to, at the end of the movie, at the end of the review, to bring it full circle.
To bring it full circle. Yeah, 10 years ago, man, it's hard to believe I've had this channel for that long. Very different. 10 years ago, wannabe Tobuscus ass, like 14, 13-year-old me made a review of this movie that my mom randomly rented from somewhere, which now that I think about it, it was what, 2012, 2013?
That was probably
Where were the rental stores? Where did she get this from? This was beyond the era.
This is becoming an SCP.
This movie is also from 2012.
Yeah, this movie
which
is from 2012.
You wouldn't know from looking at it because it looks awful, but we'll get into that.
This looks early 2000s.
We'll get into that.
This would look bad next to Toy Story.
There was, so my friend Zach, who was originally, I wanted him to be on here with us, the planned guest. He was looking this movie up just out of curiosity because I told him about it. And we discovered this rather complicated
timestamp. The Ivan the Incredible Tarzan conspiracy timeline.
Yes, there's a rather complicated web of connections. So first we have the actor Thur Lindhart. His page is reloading. First we have the actor Thur Lindhart. He was the voice of Ivan Olsen, the main character of Ivan the Incredible, also known as Jelly Tea, also known as Gummy Tea. Also known as, I think there was a third one that popped up.
Yellow Belly.
No, I have it. Because it popped up when I dubbed over the Ivan the Incredible intro. It copyright flagged the footage as... What was it again? If I can find the, chat. I don't know where it went. It flagged it as something else T. So there's, at least 3 movies for this name. Maybe 4, maybe more. Who knows? Wikipedia's filmography list for Thur Lindhart lists the movie as Gummy Tea, and he played the central character Ivan Olsen. Then we have the actor. Wait, who was it? Yeah,
Victor something.
Then we have Nicolaj de Cos, who was in a movie titled Freddy Frogface, playing the role of Freddy Frogface. Now, Thur Lindhart was also in Freddy Frogface, playing Victor. And both actors, the final nailing, both actors were in the 2009 live-action movie Angels and Demons, starring Tom Hanks, the sequel to the Da Vinci Code movie. So those were the 3 connected movies of what we call the Jelly Tarzan trilogy.
There's also the secret third movie of the Danish dub of Tarzan.
Yes, that's right. Nicolaj de Cos played Nicolaj de Cos was not in Ivan the Incredible, but he was the voice of Disney's Tarzan in the Danish dub.
Which that's probably his best,
it might be one of his bigger roles, yeah. Now, from that description, those may sound like the 3 movies we watched, but unfortunately, Freddy Frogface, the one tying this universe together in a sense, bringing these threads together.
The end game of the
is not easily findable online. It costs $10 to rent.
We found one place.
There's
on
an
Amazon
extremely
Prime.
cursed upload of it. We can talk a little bit about that in a bit.
We'll
but
talk about that when
basically,
we talk about our actual section.
We ended up watching a different movie. So
also frog related, funny.
Also frog related. We found it by searching Freddy Frogface full movie, and we found a different movie.
Freddie as
F.R.O.7.
A very bizarre relic from the early 90s.
Movie. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm excited. I feel like there's stuff to talk about with this one. I also feel like, speaking of unnamed stuff, a certain live action. I'll just put it back up here. We don't need to. The One Piece isn't real anymore.
We just destroyed the One Piece.
We just destroyed the One Piece, guys. Which hopefully Netflix won't do to the live action show once they have to start paying actual money to the actors who are in it.
Chat, let's destroy the One Piece.
Chat, we're gonna destroy the One Piece. Yeah, I'd love to talk about a certain live action anime adaptation, but also the people making it are on strike, and I kind of don't want to. I don't know what counts.
Let the record show, and you can put this in big text. The Fear podcast supports the SAG and WAG strike.
Yes, we support, and we don't want to. We're not looking to break any
We are not
here.
scabs.
But I will say that I did watch the show, and I do want to talk about it at some point. I hope that the actors and writers get their just desserts soon, because
they did no review, but they did a great job.
Clearly there's a lot more to adapt. How much did they actually adapt in the live action?
This part.
Yeah, there's a lot more to adapt, and they've said they're ready to adapt more, and I will watch, but not until they can work on it.
Yeah, they have these three waiting for them when they're ready.
The studios deserve to be punished. The studios need to pay these people properly, because part of the reason that the show is a success is because of
the actors,
talent and passion of everyone involved. I love the cast.
I would say it's one of those cases where it's like the show is good in spite of the production.
Yeah.
It's more so that like everything was firing on all cylinders, and it's a shame that the production company run by Netflix is not supporting
Netflix being one of probably the most egregious offenders
to
cause this strike to begin with.
Yeah.
So
because they are like the pinnacle of streaming, and they are
and they're the ones screwing people out of I want all those great actors who were in the One Piece live action to get proper residuals for the success.
Because you know for a fact that like this is like whether or not like they get like a second or third or fourth season, like those clips are getting like circulated for years and years and years to come.
So yeah, that's about all we have to say about that show at that time. We will happily talk about it more once the strikes are over and once the actors and writers are being paid what they deserve. We can go on and on and on about hype for season 2. But for now, you'll just have to settle with us badly attempting to sing the live action Buggy the Clown theme at the beginning of this But yeah, now that we've talked about that, now we're going to talk about 3 movies that, three movies that do not have enough.
Speaking of not breaking...
Okay.
Wait a minute. Angels and Demons would be coming out during the strike.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily have been produced
Angels and Demons came out in 2009.
Yeah.
But that's the only movie of any of these that is made by a, decently big studio. But I feel like the fact that they didn't put it, we had to rent that movie too. Clearly they don't care about it. And we don't care about it that much either. So,
damn.
I mean,
it was
better than we expected. We'll get to it.
I thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty bad.
I thought it was going to be the Da Vinci Code, but bad, and I don't even like the Da Vinci Code.
Well, from what I've seen, it sounds like it was the Da Vinci Code, but slightly better. So let's do this.
Let's
scoot over.
Do
I don't know.
this?
What's already?
Like zoinks!
Like zoinks!
Oh, Scooby-Doo update. We finished the show like a year
my
ago. Keep
God.
up.
That actually was like a year ago. That was the last time we did a just the two of us. Just the two of us.
Oh, Succession update. The show's also
That
been
show's
over for
over.
like a year.
And we're done talking about it.
Come on.
We don't.
Why are you so behind on
We
pop
don't. We
culture?
don't have a new show to talk about now. Maybe we would if the studios would pay the writers and actors what they deserve. But
alas,
here we are to talk about.
Alas, Lassie. Ivan the Incredible.
No,
that was
not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. So Ivan the Incredible is a 2012, also known as Jelly Tea, also known as Gummy Tea, is a Danish animated film
From 2012.
from 2012. It doesn't have a Wikipedia article. That's right. I was trying to find one, but it doesn't have one.
Great sign.
About a young boy named Ivan who he's not so strong. He's kind of weak. He's got noodle arms. And his dad.
So you know Andrew Tate. Imagine that, but with a comb over. And that's his dad.
His dad is a pathetic wannabe alpha male.
Yeah.
Before that was really a concept.
Yeah, like if this movie had come out like even just a year or two later,
Yeah.
he would have been like, "You've got to be an alpha male, son."
Yeah. Instead he uses the word Tarzan as a substitute for alpha male. Basically, he's like, Tarzan doesn't cry. Tarzan doesn't whine. Tarzan is strong.
Tarzan doesn't respect women.
Yeah.
Tarzan eats raw meat.
And what the movie is supposed to be about is Ivan the Incredible learning that he's incredible all on his own. He drinks a magic potion from a creepy witch in the forest, and
we'll unpack the weirdness of that scene in a moment.
And he gets powers, and then he realizes he didn't need the powers.
He was perfect already.
What the movie becomes
is a weird portrayal of familial and of familial abuse and how it ripples throughout the generations.
And the reason for this is because Ivan's dad is a horrible person.
Yeah, both in universe and out of universe.
Yeah.
He is
that the rare movie character where I feel like they didn't really write him with a redemption arc. Like they wrote him sort of knowing he was bad, but also even under the standards of the movie, he's worse than everybody else. Even. Yeah.
A town full of not great people, he comes out looking the worst.
In a lot of ways, this movie's structure is similar to the Disney movie Chicken Little, which, already a great bar to start at. Ivan's dad, Holson Olsen,
he makes Buck Gluck look good.
Yeah, he makes Buck Cluck look like Father of the Year.
Oh my god, because at least Buck Cluck is just normal bad dad.
Yeah.
He's not a great dad, but his character arc is all just about how he needs to be a better father. Classic bad dad story.
Holson Olsen barely even gets a character arc about.
Holson Olsen's character arc is that he hates his son and that he is abusing him for money.
Basically, yeah. He tells his son.
I am not unconvinced that both in universe and out of universe that Holson Olsen wasn't given custody of his son when his wife divorced him for a much better looking Greek man.
It's canon that his wife left him for a Greek guy.
I am not.
We don't ever see this one.
I am not unconvinced that Holson Olsen didn't just straight up kidnap his son. And
it wouldn't be beyond his moral compass. And it's very clear, very early on, that he's this guy having a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And he's treating his son like shit because he wants his son to be the big strong man he could never be. But however badly we're describing him, it just feels like it goes so much further than that.
Yeah.
And that was really the only...
And there's literally a scene where he puts his kid who's afraid of heights up a tree.
He throws his son up the tree and makes him climb the tree.
And when he falls out of the tree and almost hurts himself, he literally...
His dad throws a temper tantrum and storms off.
He makes fun of him in front of the whole town.
Yeah. Calls him Jelly Tarzan.
Which follows him throughout the rest of the movie.
Jelly Tarzan is a term that follows this movie beyond the space of the movie. The reason we're talking about this movie at all, it's not just that I made a review of it 10 years ago, it's that that review is, to this day, the most viewed video on this channel. And there are...
We need to fix that.
And the comment section is a wild place. There's a lot of jelly Tarzan jokes that are just kind of odd. Some of them give the vibe of somebody who doesn't speak English found that video somehow. You know, somebody maybe from Denmark who watched that movie as a kid.
Our Denmark viewers, let us know what's up with the Jelly Tarzan.
What do people in Europe think of the Jelly Tarzan franchise?
Yeah, the Jelly Tarzan cinematic universe.
Are you going to call us Jelly Tarzans for not enjoying this movie?
The Virgin Jelly Tarzan versus the Chad, there wasn't really a Chad.
No, there was no Chad, and the closest thing was the Butcher guy.
The Chad Butcher?
Supposedly the dad's childhood bully.
We saw one instance of him bullying him.
And it was like an unreliable narrative flashback from the dad.
Yeah.
Which for some reason...
And also, the Butcher is just a really good dad. Like, he supports his daughter. Mm-hmm. He's a beloved figure in the town. Despite the fact that Holston Olsen doesn't have a job and can't afford food, he gives him, like, free food. Granted, it's not great food, but it's free food for a person who owes him over $500.
Yeah, they framed this guy as being, like, a jerk, at least early on.
Yeah.
But every scene with him and the dad, it's like, comes across more like, oh, no, the dad is the one here begging for more food when he hasn't paid.
Also being incredibly ungrateful about needing to beg for more food.
Yeah.
Like, he's treating it like he is owed food from this man. Granted, you know, food should kind of be a human.
Right.
But, like, it's not like, oh, this is like a moral... Like, the movie isn't framing this as a moral quandary. It's framing it as his dad's being a dick for asking more for, like, treating this guy this way.
This also isn't a movie that's actually challenging ideas of, like, food should be a basic human necessity.
No. This isn't One Piece.
This is a movie about a kid.
This isn't even a movie really about abuse. It just happens to accidentally feature
it just accidentally
abuse
has a depiction
a lot.
Yeah. I think the most real moment in the movie is after Ivan climbs the tree and he goes and sits on the dock with a, like, cartoon rain cloud over his head and is like...
I joked that, like, I thought he might jump in.
Well, because this is at his peak depression, and he says, there's this, like, bird that's been following him around the whole movie, and he says to the bird, he's like, I can't go home right now. I don't want to deal with my dad.
That was the weird, like, the hardest line in the whole movie. Like, it felt the most authentic.
Yeah, most, like, realistically acted of, like, this is what...
Which is not a good sign when the best line in a movie is the character in their depression arc saying
admitting that they're being abused.
Yeah, like, or at the very least that they can't talk honestly with their parents.
Yeah. And it's right after that he goes and meets the magical witch lady in the forest.
Okay, we need to talk about this.
This scene...
Okay. Just in what happens in the plot in the scene, there is nothing weird or sus about it. She gives him a magic potion that turns him into basically Superman.
Yes.
However...
The execution. So,
first he wanders off into the woods alone, where he meets this strange woman, alone. At some point, he takes off his clothes for some reason.
They established... Okay, so she took his clothes to, like, go dry them. Because he had just been, like, in the water. But he didn't go in the water.
No!
So, even that's, like, very... We're watching this scene, and it passes time forward to the evening, and we're, like, seeing them interact, and we're like, where is his shirt? Why is he naked? They don't show anything.
No, why is he naked? Like, every time the camera, and I think this is because, like, they just genuinely fucked up when they were, like, shooting the scene in whatever program they were using. like the camera keeps moving down his naked body.
Just like a little bit.
Yeah,
So
like
really
it starts
like
at
more.
it starts at his shoulders, and it starts at like his collar, and you're like, oh, I guess he's not wearing a shirt.
Why is he shirtless?
And then it's like,
slowly
and then you just, he's like totally shirtless, and then you get to like near like his waist, and you're like, he's naked. Is he wearing pants? Is he naked?
He's naked.
And then you get to his back, and you're like, why is he naked?
Why is he naked?
And then they have pointed out in the story, and you're like,
she says like your clothes are dry, and it's like, so he is fucking naked. What the hell? So within the execution of the scene is
questionable.
Little boy goes into the woods, hangs out with a random lady all day,
takes off his clothes,
and then drinks a magic
drinks a potion. Drinks a potion that she does not clarify what exactly is in it. She says magic ingredients, but if you take out the magic equation, a strange lady in the woods feeds a naked child
the existence of magic potion in the universe.
A strange potion, and like literally feeds it to him. Like it's not like he drinks it. It's like she spoon feeds it to him.
And then at the end of and
then it caps off, and then the scene gets capped off with her kissing him, like on the forehead. But it's like, so a strange lady kisses a naked boy alone in the woods after giving him a strange liquid, and then she kisses him.
This movie's bad.
Yeah. I don't even really want to fit the rest of the movie is like.
Well, okay, so we can sum up the rest of the movie in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Ivan gets super strong.
Becomes a jerk.
Well, they do a dumb effect where he flexes his muscles and there's just like a muscle.
They had a model of him like at buff Ivan.
We mentioned this earlier, but this movie is ugly.
It's ugly as shit.
There's these brief 2D animated sections that are like the dad's flashbacks.
It looks so much better.
It's so much better that when it transforms back to the reality, it's so jarring.
There is one character that even looks halfway decent, and it's a throwaway character who's like a gym leader or something. And
it's just because he's so cartoonish.
It's just that his proportions and design is so cartoonish that no part of it feels uncanny.
Yeah, most of the characters have these long noses, these awkward proportions where they're trying to look cartoony, but also trying to look real.
Yeah.
And it's very, this is an unpleasant movie to look at.
Yeah.
And Freddy Frogface, from what little we could glean of it, looked about the same.
Let's talk about...
let's talk about Freddy Frogface. I don't want to talk about Ivan the Incredible anymore.
Fuck Ivan the Incredible.
This isn't a deep dive. We're just going to exercise it. It's bad.
We already know. So, Freddy Frogface, the only place that we could find a legitimate upload of it was on Amazon Prime for $10.
I think it was also on YouTube for that much. It was
still.
All the different platforms where you could buy a movie or rent a movie, $10. We've bought movies before,
I've had to buy movies before.
We rented Angels and Demons for $3.99. Cats.
I have the Tomb Raider. I have Tomb Raider on Blu-ray.
You also own Cats.
I also own Cats. I am not afraid of buying a bad DVD just for the gag of having a bad DVD.
But it wasn't even a DVD. It was just...
I am not morally opposed to buying a movie just to have the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying $10 for Freddy fucking Frogface, especially after we just watched Ivan the Incredible.
Right. After watching Ivan the Incredible is only 80 minutes long, but that was one of the longest feeling 80-minute movies we've watched on the podcast. It has about an hour of plot, shrunk into...
This might, I don't want to be too dramatic, but in terms, you pointed this out, when we were watching it, in terms of, the bell curve that we usually, the reverse bell curve.
Of, ironic enjoyment versus regular enjoyment.
This is, right at the very bottom.
I don't know if it's the very bottom point of anything we've ever watched, but it's in that
Well, I mean, in the sense of, it's not bad, it's not ironically fun.
Yeah.
And but its quality is so low.
Yeah.
That it's just...
it just sits there in the doldrums of
not objectively the worst thing we've ever watched, but one of the least...
Bottom 10.
One of the least enjoyable or entertaining experiences
not even that enjoyable to like talk about.
No. There's nothing to talk about.
We'd love to
The only thing to talk about in the movie is the stuff that's really uncomfortable to talk about.
We'd love to come to you and say that Ivan the Incredible is this like majestic meme movie that I can. I don't want my most viewed video to be the Ivan the Incredible movie.
There's not even any memeable
There's
moments.
no memeable moments. There's not like. I don't want that to be my most viewed video.
We're fixing it with this.
I hope. Probably not. But also, it's a bit of a.
Well, you don't know those Ivan the Incredible edits. They
Isn't it? It's a bit of a hollow victory though. If the most viewed video is also about Ivan the Incredible.
So you're saying we need
to talk about our other things now. We
Freddie
moved on and then we went back. Freddy Frogface. There was a YouTube upload of this movie that is uploaded by a channel called like South Park Movie Theater or something.
So we put this on and we're like, this looks...
Well, the intro to the video was a color-inverted South Park opening, like compressed and horribly fucked up audio-wise. We were like, what is this?
Clearly being recorded on like a laptop.
Yeah, it was somebody filming a laptop.
Or like a 3DS or something.
And then the movie was the same, it's like scrunched a third of the screen, sounds horrible.
It's in a weird aspect.
I have a picture, I'll put maybe a clip
Color inverted, the sound is compressed to shit.
We watched like 15 minutes of that maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, at most.
Honestly, it was probably better than actually watching. We're actually trying to watch
well, it was, and it didn't even start at the beginning, I don't think. It was just like something
we got a title screen, but then it just immediately cut. Like, there was no, like... And here's the studio logo, and the camera pans down to the actual movie.
There was no like opening song. I had that stupid opening song.
It was title credit. It was title credits. It was like title sequence.
It was the title
image, and then immediately into the movie.
So
I feel like we're missing at least like a good minute or maybe minute and a half of like company logos.
Okay, the scary part though is I'm pretty sure that upload was longer than Ivan the Incredible.
Jeez.
So, like, how long is Freddy Frogface? I don't know, but, like...
We don't need
to. Freddy Frogface isn't the one that I have my most viewed video is about. I don't care that much about Frederick Frogface. Now, there's another Frederick Frog. Frederick Frog. That I do care about much more. And we are going to talk about him now.
Freddie As
F.R.O.7. A movie that has some of the most insane lore I've ever seen. So we found.
I'm just gonna start with a beat-by-beat breakdown.
Let's see.
Of the plot.
This recording clip is at like 27 minutes. When it gets to 30, I'm gonna have to go hit record again. Let's see if you can finish your recap of what had happened.
This is
there's a real possibility you
beat for beat, but also trying to go fast. So there is. This, we open on this frog in like New York or something. I don't remember the exact city. Then we cut back and it's clearly like let's see how we got here. So we cut to this French countryside where like this French prince and his wizard dad are ruling their kingdom when the wizard dad goes off on a journey, but his evil sister, who is somehow also Scottish and literally looks like a human snake. Like
her design's actually pretty.
It's a really good design, but it's like, my brother in Christ, you're a wizard. How did you not see this coming? He gets ambushed by his sister on the road and gets killed. So the prince, who we know is named Frederick, is in like a depression kerfuffle, and so like the sister takes over the throne, and then something happens where
she turns him into a frog.
She turns him into a frog. I don't exactly remember what the build up to that was. I don't think it should. I literally think she just turned him into a frog. So
yeah, she turns him into a frog. I'm turning you into a frog.
Then she transforms him into a snake to kill him, presumably, like, I guess, cover her tracks.
Yeah.
Or maybe she just likes being a snake.
I think she was trying to get rid of him so she could properly take the throne.
And again, he started as a human, then he became a frog. She tries to get rid of him. She chases him, presumably through the English Channel all the way to Loch Ness, because they meet, because this gets resolved with them meeting Nessie, who saves Frederick from his evil aunt. Then Frederick frees her from like captivity. She like takes him to Britain. the British countryside. No, the French countryside.
No, we're not in Britain yet.
We're not in Britain yet. She takes him to this like pond where he's raised by other frogs, only to realize that actually because he is a human.
We did not make it through the recap in 3 minutes.
He is a human frog hybrid. He with also psychic powers because he's raised by a wizard.
Don't forget he has psychic powers.
I forgot the movie forgets sometimes.
Yeah.
Because he has psychic powers and also is part human, part frog. He grows supernaturally fast, supernaturally big, because he is not actually a regular frog, but in fact a frog human. Also, I think it's implied that he did in fact fuck some of those frogs.
Yeah, he has a very flirty relationship, flirty dynamics with the frogs.
The frog scene is basically just the Princess and the Frog.
The first like 15 to 20 minutes of this movie are a series of scenes that
like
all make you go, wait, what am I watching now? What's happening?
And then just to tie this all back in, we cut to like 30 years later.
No, like I think it's like centuries later.
Centuries later.
He's been alive for centuries.
Where we cut to Britain getting the Tower of London stolen.
Yes, and some black-coated
crows show up to like the head of government.
And are like, what the fuck's happening?
And they're like, oi, Parliament's been stolen, mate. Except racist.
And then they go and tell the British government.
And then he's like, I need to call the best people we have. Hello, France. Send Agent F.R.O.7.
And then that's how Freddy shows up.
That's 4 different movies.
This is, okay, just the fact that, and you know, I'm thinking about it, that opening scene, we were saying it was New York. He never goes to New York. No. I don't know if that opening scene was a different city, or if that was like...
That might have just been England, but not very...
Yeah, it was nondescript city. It starts with this cheesy-ass 90s, like, ballad song playing. Kind of almost like an anime intro.
Driving
like
the weekend!
Yeah, and he's like driving a car around. Then we cut. Like, the way this info is given to us is the most wild ride of all time, because we start with that and then cut to Magic Fantasyland, where this prince is being...
I made it sound like a more natural progression than it was. We start with the frog. With
a fully grown human-sized frog.
Then we cut to this kingdom, and we do not know if these two things are related yet.
At all.
Let alone if they're taking place in the same period.
So you watch this whole...
Or the same characters.
You watch this whole fantasy backstory, you see the dude get turned into a frog, so you're like, okay, he's probably the frog from earlier. And then like 10, 15 minutes later, then he finally grows to human size, and you're like, okay, so I guess that's how he became a frog detective in England.
And no, there's like an entire third leg of this journey that we haven't even touched on, and it's like, huh? What?
It just keeps.
And then he meets his 2 sidekicks that help him on this journey to figure out who's stealing.
Well, because this guy.
Spoilers: who's stealing all of the
English
monuments is the Snake Lady and her army of Nazis and Ku Klux Klan members.
The villain Snake. When we cut back to her, she now has like a goon that she's like a head goon that she's working with.
One of the reviews said they were Asian coded. Honestly, I thought they were more Rasputin coded.
Yeah.
But like either way, like evil bad guy.
And she has a song where she sings about how much of an evil queen she is, while basically an army of all the most evil characters. Like, it's just
the evilest things you can imagine. So like there's Crusaders, there's Nazis, Klan members. The Inquisition I think shows up in a couple of things.
I think they managed to, I don't think they actually have any swastikas.
But like you can tell, you can tell.
What they do is the evil Snake Lady has a like snake symbol that is very sort of like fascist.
Yeah, well, because fascists love snakes.
And so all the like Nazi, obvious goose-stepping Nazi characters are just wearing like this symbol.
And then honestly, the song's a bop. And
the song is a bop. The scene's kind of amazing.
Honestly, it makes it sound like we hate this movie. It is a wild ride. Arguably a incomprehensible ride at points. It's a very fun ride.
It's a wild ride in the best way.
It's like the Mr. Toad ride at Disneyland. Is it necessarily a good ride? No. Is it fun as hell?
I'm very glad we stumbled upon this movie by searching Freddy Frogface full movie on YouTube. We didn't have to pay for this one. It was just uploaded in like 240p.
Yeah, not great quality, but hey,
it still looks better than Ivan.
It looks so much. It was really well animated.
It was pretty. Yeah.
Like for a not Disney, not John Bluth.
Yes.
Like not even Amblin animation. Like this is like a maybe C tier.
This is a
C tier British studio.
C tier might even be stretching it because when I looked this up, I found out that it's like one of the worst grossing movies, like animated movies.
But like not a studio of note making like their first animated film. And granted, like you said, box office poison did not make its money back, but it looks way better than it has any right to.
The box office, according to Wikipedia, is 1.1 million.
Damn, that is not good.
It's like barely over $1 million.
That is how much money it took for Ralph Bakshi to make his first film, and Ralph Bakshi is notorious for being a money-grubbing asshole.
Yeah,
he's a penny pincher.
Like the number 1 million in the context of how much money a movie makes, like that's nothing.
That's barely a catering budget in modern film standards.
Yeah. But it's
like that's small for an indie film.
Yeah.
That's small for like an indie film. That might be small for like a big budget student film.
Well, apparently it says on the Wikipedia that it was the source. So the Batshit Insane story. It was inspired by bedtime stories that the writer and director told his son about his son's favorite toy frog being a secret agent. So that kind of I feel like that explains why despite having a set up backstory, Freddy the Frogs feels like a character plucked from a completely different story put into this. When we were watching Angels and Demons afterward, we were joking like, what if Frederick the French spy frog was here?
And it's like it could work because he just showed like in his own movie. He would just show up and cause problems, but save the day.
Despite his backstory being like important to the plot,
it also kind of isn't.
It isn't because he's not invested in the plot at all. He's kind of this Austin Powers, James Bondy character.
Where he's sort of above it all, but it's his job, so he's still saving the day.
Yeah.
But he's doing it with like kind of a wry sense of humor.
It's just weird how little investment he has in it when it's his aunt that turned him into a frog in the first place.
Who also presumably stole his kingdom.
Yeah. And he's just kind of like, whatever, I am a frog, I'm going to
maybe that was just to imply that maybe that was just to show that he really is French, that he cares so little about the destruction of the British Empire.
Yeah.
It's like,
the
British
villains,
are dying.
The villains use a giant 3D animated snake ship.
Really well animated. Really well animated for both the era and the budget.
To steal landmarks from England and essentially harness their essence.
They're going to use they're going to transform
the landmarks
positive memories associated with them into negative emotions that will...
To destroy Britain and remove it from history so that they can conquer the world unchallenged.
So at first you're like, let these villains cook. And then you're like...
But they're also Nazis.
They're also Nazis and you're like,
KKK.
Okay, so maybe not.
No cooking for them. Yeah, and that's not even
That's not even touching on the sidekicks who where there's this Scotland Yard guy who's basically Q but Scottish.
Yeah, and then
there's this British spy lady who's basically a James Bond girl. Yeah. She's like a kung fu ballerina.
I feel like she's the Austin Powers version of a James Bond.
Yeah. She is an Austin Powers character.
Yeah. It feels totally like Austin Powers somewhat.
Yeah.
But it's also
It's pre-Austin Powers.
This is pre-Austin Powers.
Maybe it was something in the water. Oh, baby.
But just the extreme lengths they went to connect medieval fantasy frog prince turned into a frog by his evil magic aunt to James Bond parody set in the 1940s.
Yeah, because it's not really set in the modern day.
No. And it's also, this isn't a world where, like, there's a lot of human-sized frogs walking
No,
around.
he is weird.
He's weird. And this is a weird thing.
Though, like, the crows, I don't even know if the humans can actually understand the crows.
Yeah, I don't know why the crows are in the movie at all.
Someone was racist and they wanted to really show it.
Like, 2 scenes, and then they're like,
What? Okay, slight tangent. What is with movies having crows being coded as black characters? Because that happened in Dumbo. Was it Dumbo?
Dumbo,
It
yes.
happened in Dumbo, where they went a step beyond and literally called the crows Jim Crows.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow, okay. And then that also happened in Fritz the Cat with Ralph Bakshi, where he like Fritz is like a white, coded as like a white college kid, and then like he goes to a shady neighborhood filled with crows. So and that's coded to be like a black kind of like ghetto neighborhood.
Yeah.
With like some pig cops roaming the streets.
It's honestly this
literal pigs.
This version of it is really kind of just like harmless outside of the
if
there were no
outside of the accents they use, where it's like
yeah.
They're British, but you can tell they're supposed to be like.
But you can tell they're like have black voices too.
Yeah, they're like doing like shuck and jive voices.
Yeah, kind of. It's weird.
But again, like British, so it's like, why
did you even do this to begin with? God, if they made the Gone to America sequel, those crows probably would have had a bigger role.
Oh no.
There would have been more crows.
America's
the end. So the end of the movie is kind of sequel baity, which is probably the biggest like legitimate knock against it.
Because
other than racist crows.
Other than racist crows. So like it ends with them. They save the day, but then they have a final battle after they save the day with his evil aunt.
But the battle between Freddy and the evil aunt is so weird. Like they both just kind of lob lame-o attacks at each other without really ever going for the kill.
No, because it almost feels like this was like a children's franchise, like a children's book franchise or something, and like this is like the first chapter, and it's like follow the adventures of Freddy and as he chases his evil aunt around the world.
We both thought that maybe this was some kind of weird franchise from France that we didn't know about.
Like a Tintin
no,
or something.
It's not based on anything but bedtime stories, which honestly fits the vibe of how bad.
It definitely feels like a fever dream.
The lore is exactly the kind of lore you would make up when you're trying to tell your child a bedtime story.
Because you make it as elaborate as possible because you want them to go to bed.
Because you want them to fall asleep. It's bedtime story.
And then it actually ends on Freddy getting another case from America.
And the snake lady escapes.
Yeah, so you're like,
honestly, the movie would have been better if she just snuck away while they were all fighting the Rasputin goon.
Because the final battle between Freddy and his aunt does not have the dramatic, like the tension it should.
No, it's this silly weird thing afterward, after they've already defeated the sort of
and Freddy is already like even Freddy, like, who is a saucy asshole who doesn't really take anything seriously. He's already had a very dramatic moment where like he has to choose between saving the world and saving Big Ben.
Yeah,
and he like chooses to save Big Ben, but then uses his powers to still end up saving the day.
He doesn't use his psychic powers in the fight against the aunt, but he does use them in his fight against El Supremo,
El Supremo, the Russian.
Which I did not ever get his name.
No.
I that was read on the Wikipedia article afterward. What else? Psychic powers. Oh, we should. They're when they first show up. So the way that the heroes get to the villain's lair is they just let themselves get captured. Which
and when the sidekicks try to stop that, he's like, and he shows
what we're going to do.
He shows he took the batteries from their walkie-talkies.
It's funny how unnecessary the 2 humans that come with him actually are.
Yeah.
Like they don't really achieve anything or do anything for the plot.
At most they help fight some goons.
Yeah.
But Freddy does all the actual detective work.
And the frog super stunts, and the psychic powers that he only uses once or twice.
And he defeats the 2 villains.
There's not even that much detective work to be done either, because it's sort of implied that he knows from very early on who's behind this.
Yeah.
Because he sees...
The only real detective work is figuring out what they're after and where to go next.
Yes, because he sees there's this guy who's works
works in Parliament.
Yeah, there's this stuffy Parliament dude they keep cutting back to. He's not even that stuffy, he's just kind of like the cartoon old man. They cut back to him a bit too much.
Yeah.
But he is a
And he's got this
character.
like sniveling advisor character.
Yeah, this obviously evil looking sniveling advisor
Who never
character.
actually does. Like,
he never does
We
it.
can assume he's a spy.
We
like,
assume
for
he's
the
a spy,
villains.
and we see that he has a little...
He has a snake tattoo.
As a tattoo, and Freddy sees this too, but we don't even really, like, it's never stated that Freddy sees it. We just, at the end of the movie, that guy's getting arrested, and Freddy's like, yeah, I caught you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why is this even in?
It's kind of clever, because, like, he asks, like, Freddy's like, do you have the time? And the guy accidentally shows his tattoo. And, like, Freddy, like, makes, like, a noise, but not necessarily, like, the camera doesn't focus on him, so... You kind of have to just assume, because Freddy is smart in this movie, like, oh, he picked up on that. But, like...
But he puts a similar amount of investment into confronting that as he does everything else in the movie, where he doesn't tell anybody that that guy's evil, and just at the end of the movie it's like, oh yeah, well... And you can assume that's how he knew that his snake aunt was involved, but again, he doesn't say that.
Yeah.
You know?
The snake aunt is the one who's like, does all the dramatic reveals.
Yeah, she's the one who's like, I'm your aunt, and he's like, yeah, I knew.
I'm here, I kill you like I killed your parents. And she's like, yeah,
she stays in snake form most of the movie.
She doesn't.
The intro.
She only transforms back into a.
It's a very, it's like a very Jafar-inspired kind of aesthetic for her.
Yeah. I almost wonder, like, would this movie have been not better, but like more coherent if they had just been frog people, like frog and snake people?
Yeah, if those two were just a frog and a snake to begin with,
who also had magic powers.
Yeah, and they were never like human at all, because both of them having human form. Freddy literally never mentions to anybody that he was a human.
Not even the human girl that he ends up dating.
Yeah.
Or a romance.
Right, James Bond romancing. Like he does, and nobody cares that he's a frog in terms of being wooed. He's also wooing Nessie. Nessie comes back.
They have an under the scene musical sequence during the big villains are staging a attack on London.
So the villain explains his plan of we're going to sap the energy from the world's landmarks and then corrupt it into this evil energy, and it'll put everybody in Britain to sleep, and then we're going to send our fleet of subs out to kill everybody.
And then he disposes of
Freddy.
Freddy.
They dispose of Freddy into the ocean, which that didn't work the first time, Queen Snake Lady. So why are you doing it again?
Just because she's evil and cunty does not mean that she's smart.
So then they get sent to the ocean. Nessie rescues Freddy and the guy. They just leave the guy on a rock for like 10 minutes.
Well, he goes to have a musical sequence.
They go and they do Under the Sea from the little...
And then they keep cutting to the villains enacting their evil plan.
The villains are literally putting all of Britain to sleep right now and like working on their evil scheme. They've hypnotized the love interest.
Or
she's pretending to be hypnotized, but they've seemingly hypnotized her, and she's just saying, the snake will rule the world, the snake will rule the world. And Freddy and the Loch Ness Monster are just down in the ocean with a Nessie society that exists down there. Dancing and singing.
Move over, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We've got the Nessie Society.
This movie is very League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
We were mentioning at when we were first watching the movie, how especially in that first 30 minutes, it felt like three different Disney movies. Like it felt like Princess and the Frog. It felt like The Little Mermaid. It felt like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
And then a bit of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Just for good measure.
Just for sauce.
Just for us fear fans.
Yeah. You know what else caused fear?
This is what they call a gum fruit.
Yeah. Right? Blessed by the sea devil, the devils are angels and demons.
Angels and demons. Yo ho ho, we took a bite of gum.
The sad thing is that wasn't even our worst transition this episode.
No, because the Lassie one earlier literally didn't even make sense. Angels and Demons is a 2009 movie starring Tom Hanks and Ewan McGregor as a priest,
a Catholic Irish priest,
and it's a thriller.
It's literally the Da Vinci Code because it's by the same author as the Da Vinci Code. It's like a sequel.
Yeah.
Sort of like how Silence of the Lambs is a sequel to Red Dragon. Sort of same same character, but in a different scenario. This time they are solving the murder of the Pope,
yes.
the death of the Pope, and the
subsequent threatened bomb threat,
and death of the four major cardinals that will succeed the Pope.
It's actually quite a complicated and pretty interesting mystery.
Yeah.
That I think the movie doesn't. The biggest flaw in the movie, I think we both were expecting really boring, like garbage.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's enough of a hook with this premise and this setup.
It's enough of a good. It's a good enough of a movie that I'm more disappointed. Like in the flaws of it, that I am like, oh, this was like a boring movie that wasted my time.
Its biggest flaw is just that it is a little like.
It lacks, or like, at least for me, it lacks brevity.
Yeah.
It takes itself super seriously, and that's fine, but like, there is no contrast. There is no like character who lightens the mood.
And not even in a marvelly like tell jokes.
Literally in a, you have everyone who is, this is the most important thing that's ever happened to me.
In the same tone. There's no like.
There's no character that comes up who's like, I don't know what any of this is, but hey, look, I found what this is almost certainly the secret clue.
You were saying it when we were midway through, right when they found like the first victim, basically. That this movie needed a character who doesn't know anything about the Catholic mythology, Illuminati,
or like even anything about science,
but is good at like one specific thing. And
we could have had like a driver character who drove them around, who really knows the streets of the Vatican.
Yeah, somebody who really is good at one specific thing, but is clueless at everything else to sort of be almost an audience vessel. I think that's the problem with this movie, and it sounds like the whole franchise films.
It's written by someone who is really smart, who assumes that the audience is really smart.
Yeah, or at least thinks they're really smart.
Yeah,
it's hard to even say how smart the things they are saying actually are.
I mean, I caught them in a lie when
you caught them in a lie at one point.
I was like, oh, the Christmas, it subsumed the holiday dealing with like the death of the moon, and I'm like,
it was the sun.
The sun. I'm like, you mean Saturnalia? The celebration of the god Saturn, who has no connection to the sun?
Yeah, so it's like it's a lot of, it's like you're watching Tom Hanks' character and sometimes the other characters. He's not the only smart one in the movie, but you're watching them run around.
He's the Benoit Blanc compared to like the other people who are also solving the mystery, but in their
You're watching them run around and you're watching them relay information that is so foreign to the vast majority of the audience.
You have to have, like, for you to be able to, like, be completely invested in the story, you have to know a lot about Catholic church history and care about a lot about Catholic procedure.
If you don't, it just kind of creates this, and I feel like if you know that stuff, you'd be nitpicking all the parts they get wrong.
Well, they got the name of this pope wrong. Yeah. That pope actually did this
thing. It's kind of a you can't win where it's like there's not really
for the audience, for the target audience, they are the type of overly analytical person that would probably be like, would nitpick everything that's wrong with it.
Like I feel like and this is the issue with this franchise in general, is on the one hand, it's like turn your brain off at like thriller movies.
Yeah, because they've shot very stereotypical thriller action.
But on the other hand, it's this movie
with big sweeping dramatic camera shots.
But on
a great score, but a like at times overly dramatic.
Hans Zimmer scored this one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
He did a great job. There were some scenes where it's like the soundtrack does not match the actual action happening on screen.
But there's no opportunity to solve the mystery with them.
No.
There's no
we were kind of able to figure out where it was going.
But really just in terms of the characters.
Yeah.
And the like mysteries around that, which I actually don't want to. I'll do spoilers separately because there's
a decent mystery here that I don't want to spoil.
The story has some fun twists and turns in the last. I think it really picks up in the last like hour.
Yeah, the last hour of the movie is really good.
But definitely the first like hour.
Basically, until they find the first body.
Yeah.
Really what are we doing?
And that's where we were being the most openly critical, sitting there like this needed a character to provide to, because when all you're getting is characters
there's
explaining the mystery.
There's
to
the
you.
Tom Hanks character. There's the scientist character who inadvertently created the bomb by conducting research into an unstable material known as antimatter. And then there's 3 different like Secret Service agents who are all tangential members of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Who are all taking this even more seriously than our main characters because this is literally their jobs.
Yeah. So it's like when you have all of these characters basically just like expositionizing the mystery, you need something. There's nothing to latch onto.
There's no real, there's no like emotional,
no emotional investment.
Other than it'd be sad if these 4 people died.
Right. Yeah. Like it's this. So it's this very and that's why it's like it needed a character.
It needed something more, like, we needed a dumbass. Not even necessarily just to have the plot explained to us, but just to have like this is what the common man thinks of this.
An audience vessel for the audience to like care about.
Someone who's like, I don't want to see people die, but I'm not particularly invested in the Catholic Church, you know? Like, someone like that.
Ewan McGregor's character is the strongest one.
Absolutely.
And
for very good reasons.
For very good reasons.
It opens on him. He's almost like it's.
Yeah, that's right. It does open on him smashing the thing.
Because he's the Pope's right hand.
Yeah, the words is like Camerlingo.
It's Italian. It's like Italian Latin.
Yeah, that's what. There's a lot of terms like that thrown around in the movie where it's like, unless you know these terms, I just have to absorb them and take them at face value based on whatever anybody's saying.
It's naturalistic storytelling, but done wrongly, where they throw terms at you and then use context clues of how characters are acting to let the audience naturally come to an explanation of what they mean. But the thing is that works for fantasy. These are real people with real words. It's like, that's clearly Italian. I don't know Italian.
And they give you enough to get the gist, but they don't give you enough to be able to like feel like you're figuring it out with.
No. It took me forever to be able to tell the difference between which member of which church has the most authority here? Because everyone is pulling badges to be like, I have superiority.
Well, that was also...
I have superiority.
I feel like that was actually kind of part of the plot. There were all these characters
they literally, one of the characters literally say this is a bureaucratic nightmare.
Yeah.
Which is again, that's definitely a part of the plot. So it's not like it's a flaw, but it's like there's parts where it's there are parts where it's like these 2 priest characters are arguing, and I'm like, wait, are you guys different? Are you like different factions? Are you different characters? Like, who's who?
I think the part of the movie, and we're going to start going into spoilers of the plot here.
Yeah.
I think there is a part of the movie where the action and tension, undoubtedly, this is where it picks up, and it's when Tom Hanks is in the archives with the blonde guy who is played by Ivan from Ivan the Intruder. Let's go!
He has a pretty sizable
and
he does a great job of not sounding too Danish.
Both him and the other guy have pretty sizable roles. The other guy who was in Freddy Frogface, the other Tarzan, he plays basically the main guy out there killing the people.
Right, yeah.
Out there killing
the
hostages.
guy who's doing the actual killing. Yeah. Although they even established early on, he's not the actual
he's
mastermind. He's just the guy taking notes.
But so basically, Tom Hanks is in the archives with Ivan, and
they're looking for the next clue, and right as they're about to find it, the power gets shut off.
And so they're like, without power, we don't have oxygen, and they're like, how do we get out of here?
Because this is a vacuum sealed vault.
And so they're like trying to, they break open the glass. You know, it's a fine scene. It feels odd because at this point in the movie there has just not been
there's been no mortal danger for our characters.
Yes, no.
There's been mortal danger for the people they're trying to save,
but not mortal danger for them.
Yeah.
And it also is this weird scenario where it raises the question of did somebody Stellan Skarsgård's character, Commander Richter, is established he's the leader of the Swiss Guard.
Yeah.
And he's established he is cutting the power to different areas.
To try to find the bomb.
Yeah, because if the power is cut to where the bomb is, they'll see the footage that's being sent to them of the bomb. It'll go dark. So they're trying to pinpoint an area. So the power being cut in the basement, it creates this question that does have a narrative purpose, but is sort of awkward in the moment of where you're like, when you're watching this scene of them trapped in the basement, you don't know.
It's tense, but you're not sure. But you're not really like, why is there tension here all of a sudden?
You don't know whether there's tension there for a reason, or whether there's tension because Richter is a dumbass and he cut the power without.
And it resolves in a way that almost feels like a joke.
Yeah.
Where Tom Hanks finally like manages to break the window, and then 5 seconds later the air comes back on.
Yeah.
And obviously that's meant to be a bit comedic.
Yeah.
Because they literally pause for like what's clearly meant to be like the oh really eye roll laugh track moment. But like
it's just an odd scene because you don't know why it's happening.
In isolation it goes from super tense to almost farcical.
Yeah. Yeah.
In like a span of 5 seconds.
But what it does for the plot is useful.
It's very relevant to the plot.
It sets in motion this idea that somebody high up in their investigation is a part of the Illuminati.
Which is combined with their second victim they find, who was like had a forcibly induced seizure, likely due to a drug.
They find out. We're talking about spoilers now. We find out that the Pope was actually killed by a drug-induced seizure.
Because he also was having seizures, so he needed medicine to take care of that. So someone knew about that and then overdosed him to make it seem like an accident.
So then from that point on, the movie gains, I think, an element of spy thrillerism that just inherently makes it a little more engaging.
It immediately makes both the audience and the characters in the movie immediately go, okay, well then who can we trust?
Yeah.
We can obviously trust Tom Hanks because he's not, because
he's an outsider.
He's an outsider, and why would he orchestrate all of this?
And we can trust scientist lady because she's also an outsider.
We can trust her enough to know that she would not willingly destroy her own life.
Yeah. So then, but then that leaves everybody else under suspicion. Ewan McGregor's priest. Commander Richter. Commander Richter's
even like the people who are like without question like loyal, like Ivan or like the guy who drives him around town, who's also part of the Swiss Guard. Yeah. You're immediately like, well, they're probably loyal, but what if their bosses?
But they present it with just enough ambiguity where like, okay, so the power got cut downstairs. So
and then that like coincides with them finding out like, oh yeah, no, this was definitely an act of sabotage. I mean, they find they find Ian McGregor's character,
and they know that there's a murderer who killed the puppet.
Because there's an after effect of like after a week or two, where like your mouth swells black.
No, the basement incident is interesting because basically either the Swiss Guard did a dum-dum and they didn't know that the power in the archives was linked to the power they were cutting, or the Swiss Guard has somebody evil in them. So then you're like watching Commander Richter, and then there's also Cardinal Strauss in the conclave, and they're voting for the next pope.
And they keep having they keep having to extend the vote, even though the Cardinal wants to rush this through as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And it's very much there's even a scene where like Ian McGregor's character shows up and is like trying to like beg and plead for them to leave. And Cardinal Strauss basically like when that fails, you can see, there's literally a scene where
you see the gears turning in his head of this is how I become the pope.
And it's not even necessarily like you're even if he's not necessarily evil, you can definitely tell, he's got, schemes.
Yeah. And not only does it get more kind of who do we trust tension, but the action also starts to pick up.
Yeah. Well, the characters get more and more in direct danger because they get closer to the kill.
Yeah. Tom Hanks ends up saving the fourth guy. He has to save the fourth guy from drowning.
Because they find out who it's going to be a drowning victim. Where before the killer goes.
And Nicolas Ducasse starts bopping people, killing people, shooting people.
Really cool. He's like a Terminator.
There's some good chase scenes.
In a franchise where the scariest thing is a guy with a gun.
Yeah.
A scary guy with a gun who's really good at killing people is unbeatable.
And then when they do finally find the bomb, there's the epic sequence in which Ewan McGregor's character, after they realize they can't stop the bomb from detonating.
Well, there's also the sequence where they go back to his office because they want to kill.
Oh,
they want to destroy the 5 pillars of the church, the 4 clergy, and then the Pope.
They realize
the Pope's already dead, so they're going for the next best thing. the Pope's second in command.
And so they find Richter meeting with
at gunpoint with Ian McGregor's character
Patrick.
Patrick.
Is that what his name is? Yeah. But it's weird because it is a very awkwardly you
enter the room and you're immediately disoriented.
You enter the room and the staging immediately seems odd. I don't know how to describe it.
It feels like, and I feel like I could immediately pick this up that something was up. Like, because I was already getting suspicious vibes, but like I could immediately pick something was up where it's like, the way this is shot feels too amateurish to be an accident.
Yeah.
Especially for how the rest of the movie is shot.
It's like the angles are just odd. After they stop
the line deliveries are odd.
After they stop Richter, another one of the characters comes in and tries to kill Ewan McGregor, and it's like,
what?
That character was looking for Richter beforehand.
Richter and Ian McGregor.
Yeah, and Ewan McGregor. Like, and so it's like, why, if that character is also Illuminati, why was he? It sows just enough doubt for you to be like, okay, so...
And then Tom Hanks finds, like, a key on Richter's body.
Yeah. So it's an interesting scene that shows just enough doubt that, like...
And then right after that, they find the bomb.
They find the bomb. And at this point, you're like, can Ewan McGregor's character be trusted?
You're not... And then, like, they do, like, the ultimate move where it's like, we realize... The bomb, this is a cold area, the bomb might be going off sooner than expected.
And Ewan McGregor takes the bomb, he runs it out of the building into a helicopter, he flies the helicopter up, the bomb blows up the helicopter, he parachutes down.
Still almost dies, because this thing is like, it's up there enough that like you can't see the helicopter anymore.
Yeah.
And like the aftershock is still like almost killing people.
Like, extreme the damage of the antimatter bomb was.
Yeah.
But then it creates this interesting where now that he has essentially saved the church,
he's almost like
he's like guaranteed lock for Pope, basically.
Yeah, because he almost martyred himself.
And the Cardinal Strauss guy clearly is not too happy about it.
So now it becomes like in the last it kind of becomes
last 20 minutes.
Is Cardinal Strauss gonna like make a move? Was this all his plan to like try to?
Or was this actually all a 3D chess move by Patrick, Ewan McGregor's character?
And we find out the answer when Tom Hanks realized, wait a minute, Richter said that the Pope had a need-to-know basis on who knew he had to take medicine because of the seizures. That means that means he probably had cameras to see who was where.
They find the cameras underneath the journals so that at one point Richter takes some info journals from the scientist lady,
which makes him look very suspicious.
Which makes them all very suspicious of him, and that's why they think that's why when they see him holding Ewan McGregor at gunpoint, no hesitate, they just killed him.
Especially because they're like, oh, the Illuminati's plan is to kill the Pope.
Yeah, but then they watch back the footage from in that room, and then we get to see that same scene that led to him holding Ewan McGregor at gunpoint.
And you find out that Ian McGregor knew the scientist at the very beginning of the movie who died. Who like led to the bomb getting
basically, the Pope agreed to them making this God particle thing, and Ewan McGregor's character
was like, "No, this is heresy. This is sacrilege," and he ended up actually staging this whole thing to make science look bad.
And I feel like they sow the seeds of his character really well.
Yeah.
They established that he was literally adopted by the church, so it's like this setup that the church is just his entire life.
He has this great speech where it's like, it basically spells out his entire motivation, but like it's framed in a heroic way. So you're like, yeah, no, he's right. Like, and you can tell like you can almost tell like he's like trying to put on a performance to get these people on his side.
Well, there's the scene where he is telling Cardinal Strauss and trying to convince them to call off the conclave and evacuate the town.
And he's like, science and religion do not have to be enemies, but science needs to be told to slow down, to take it in the air.
And it's interesting because at that point in the movie, you're watching that scene assuming at face value, yes, there is an Illuminati, yes, the bomb is going to blow up the town if we don't get people out, so they should listen to him.
Yeah.
But really, it's actually a good thing they didn't listen to him.
Because he staged the whole thing. There is no Illuminati. He used the threat of Illuminati to try to unify the church.
And he used the bomb threat to do similarly. It's unclear, and not in a bad way, but it's unclear whether his plan was always to fly the bomb out of the way and like save the city. It seems like he had several plans in mind, depending on how successfully they found
it. Seems like that seems to be like a. It definitely seems like he had several plans for if they found the bomb and how quickly.
Yeah, but it's interesting because he is just as active a part in finding the clue. He is second only to Tom Hanks' character in finding clues and hunting down stuff for the mystery, which always shows just enough confidence in him to not be like, okay, he's obviously the twist film.
Because, like, from an audience, from a character perspective, it would make sense to still suspect him, maybe. But from an audience perspective, you're like, why would the character who set up the plan be exposing the plan?
Like he's the one who takes
them down
the initiative to look at the Pope's body and be like, he was killed.
Yeah.
So it's like he reveals a lot of information to them,
but in a way that never completely implicates him until the end.
Until the end, where there's just the footage of him
and Richter confronting each other, and then we see that he actually branded himself.
Yeah. I think it's a good twist, and I think it kind of pulls the movie together into being a good movie.
Yeah.
But it just takes a while to get there.
It does. I do think, and there's lots of great subtleties in Ian McGregor's performance.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that, like, this was not like a last-minute twist thing. Like, it was like he was like, okay, I need to plant, like, these seeds the whole time.
Yes.
So, like, because, like, you can even tell,
even the opening scene of him,
like, like, he's sad, but there's also, like, a resolution. A rage and a resolution where it's like, he's sad that it had to come to this, but he's resolved in his, like, well, I've already done this. I have to.
And then when he does get caught, he just like burns himself.
Yeah, he's straight up. He's like, if I have to go down, I'm at least going to try to martyr myself.
Yeah, like it's a very interesting character. Yeah. I think his character is easily the most interesting part because Tom Hanks' character is really kind of just there. He never really has that much of an emotional investment.
They have this weird, like, they try to give him this weird conflict where it's like. He doesn't believe in God.
Most of his conflict is, about his faith, but that doesn't really matter to the story.
It's so funny. It's a story about, like, faith, but it's a story about, like, questioning faith, but the main character, like, that doesn't really matter.
I feel like it's not really a story about questioning faith.
Right.
Is the thing. It's a story that uses, like, faith as a motivation for a lot of characters, and his character is not motivated by that at all.
So, it's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like his character is just motivated by his character and the scientist girl are motivated by like science.
And I don't want to see people die.
Yeah, and I don't want to see people die.
I don't know,
which is a good motivation, but it doesn't leave him with any character arc to be had.
Yeah, like because like at the very end of the movie, like the poet, like Cardinal Strauss is like, "I'm so glad God sent you," and Tom Hanks is like, "I don't believe in God," and he's like. We all come to our own conclusions or whatever.
It's like exactly where the conversation started.
And it's like, okay, that's kind of a weird note to end on for what is ostensibly our main character. I almost feel like, and I don't know the actual book, so I can't tell, but like it feels kind of like this, like Mel Gibson's character in Signs, where he's like. I almost feel like he's supposed to be like a sort of priest who's like a burned out priest, you know?
Okay.
Where it's like he's lost faith and then like maybe eventually he gets it back.
Yeah, but that they don't go for that.
They don't go for that at all. Which that's me just reading in between the lines.
Well, that's what if they went for. I don't even think it would work if they went for that in this because there's not like it would require a lot of other information to be established and it would just be a very different movie if they put that character arc in. It really is just kind of like a thriller where the character that gets an arc and a resolution and a strong motivation is the villain.
And the heroes start the arc as they end it.
Yeah, pretty much.
For the scientist character, literally, because they start.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm gonna go back to making. Tom Hanks tells her like, you should keep making dangerous stuff, and
even though it might destroy the world.
It's like, okay, maybe she shouldn't.
I mean, considering a single like 5 grams of antimatter almost leveled the Vatican.
I also
maybe not.
I know this is because it's based on a book, but man, with a title like Angels and Demons.
You expected
you almost want some kind of like supernatural,
a secret supernatural twist or something.
Yeah, or at least the possibility of that. You know, like a good mystery story where something seems supernatural but isn't.
Yeah.
I think some events that seemed supernatural but weren't would have been interesting in the context of this.
Or like a gray zone where it's like, well, this could have happened like without supernatural explanations, but it could also happen with supernatural.
If there was more of that in this movie, that would also, I think, give them an opportunity to have Tom Hanks's character question his
lack of
beliefs more.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, it's just like, despite being a movie about the church and all this church intrigue, everything is very like.
It's like
based in reality.
Yeah, it's very scientific.
Yeah, it's very the most
even beyond like the literal science mumbo.
The most like supernatural element of the movie, which is the existence of an Illuminati, ends up being like a non-factor because there actually wasn't an Illuminati.
Yeah, there might have been an Illuminati maybe like 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But now they're literally just.
He's just using the supernatural and it's like,
in a book.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's weird that it doesn't do more with that, with the supernatural or not element of such a setting and premise.
But overall, I do think makes for a fun watch.
Yeah.
It's a decent, it's a pretty good mystery, and
it's like a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Could have been better, but I was expecting bad.
Yeah, I was expecting.
I've never cared for the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah,
hearing it's like the Da Vinci Code, but Catholic guilt, and I'm like, cool.
yeah.
But I'm honestly, it's the point where I'm like, I would love to like maybe pick up the books one day and see if they're any good.
Mm-hmm. Angels and Demons.
Because it's definitely like the type of thing you can tell that it's very written.
Yeah.
You can tell it's based on a book because it's very the way the characters like talk and the way like scenes are. It's very written.
Yeah.
It's very wordy. It's very. These are characters speaking words. That sounds.
These are characters speaking words in a movie, but it's book adaptations.
Yeah. But you know who wasn't a book adaptation?
Ivan the Incredible. Let's exercise it.
Where the hell is?
Where's the sword?
Incredible.
Okay, so wait, dude, now.
Ivan the Incredible. You disgusting, putrid pile of shit. You abomination against God. You're
so bad we've upgraded to shooting. We've upgraded to firing squad style execution, apparently.
We will take you out back like Old Yeller. Avast.
You jelly Tarzan.
Jelly Tarzan avast ye! Fear!
POV. You're about to get shot.